We interrupt what you're watching right now to bring you this exciting story.
It's the dance and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the pledge of allegiance on the 4th of July. It's some handwritten letters from home. It's some sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down his life. It's the red, white, and blue. 40 stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down his life. It's the red, white, and blue. 40 stars and stripes. It's the red, white, and blue. Stand on the front line. It's the red, white, and blue. Pay the ultimate price. Oh. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is brown but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the facts you made. And then he came home with all he wanted. It's Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. All these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Stand on this red line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. To pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. 40 stars and stripes. Marching line. Marching line. Hey. Hey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, Erie County, good afternoon on this kind of really yucky Sunday afternoon, and that's why I just really don't have a problem with coming in on Sundays because it's just that kind of like should be a lazy day, but let's just talk. We need to talk. Wednesday nights are our prime spot. Unfortunately, sometimes we get a little bit long. It goes a little bit late. We're not all spring chickens here anymore, so we have a tendency to go past our bedtimes. So that's why we did the kind of Sunday afternoon thing. And Dave, you are absolutely positively correct. Things are heating up. The races in the city are heating up. The races in the county are heating up. All the lies and deceptions from from the left is just mind blowing. We will absolutely talk about some of that. We've got some great videos. We got some great audios. But you're telling the rain fun. Glowing keeps quiet in the ghetto. Well, Dave, I understand that. However, us folks not in the city like to go outside and, clean up our yard and, make sure that we don't have, piles 4 feet of garbage piled up in front of our houses, and sofas have been out in the street for days on end and weeks on end. And, and watch everybody in the city very point fingers on whose fault it really is. Well, it ultimately comes down to the city to hold the people responsible for keeping their stuff clean. How is it that you can just put everything out of your house up front and just walk away? I would say, Benjamin, thanks for coming. I'd say city, give them a warning. You come clean it up, send them a bill. They don't pay the bill. They get a lien on their property. That's that simple. I don't know why this is so complicated. Yes, sir, you are live. I say your name, you appear. Good afternoon on that gloomy day outside. Why was that? Your video cameras were probably like silent. Really? Oh, Jesus. Right. Gotcha.
On here with the Taste of Love and the Triple D's and Bronx Bank.
Right. Yeah, I just got a text that said that they couldn't hear you, so I had to unclick it from the show. You're on speakerphone, so now, well, Dave did an experiment. He put an old junky weed eater outside to see how long it would last. How long did it last?
32 hours. I was surprised it lasted that long.
Yeah, I'm shocked it lasted that long. It was, like I said, it was, you had it leaning against the house right in front of your security cameras. And yeah, I'm shocked it didn't take longer.
Yeah, I've had the weed whacker out there a while back. They got that. That was quick. That was a quick one. And then the bicycle I had, that was a real quick one.
Really?
It was like within 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
The bicycle.
Yeah, well, bicycle, they can swap, trade, ride, do whatever they do with it.
Yeah, well, that's where I found it in the backyard. Somebody left it in my backyard. So it was a sort of a piece of junk too. It's probably stolen. So I figured, well, I'll put it out, out front to be restolen.
Right.
And that was a quick one.
Oh, that is something. Well, that's why, we need, that's why we've been playing with Make Erie Great Again. Because I know you can remember when you could leave a bicycle out on the front porch and it could stay there for days and no one would touch it.
Yeah, but now we have all these people in town, the mayor, he's so happy about bringing them in here. And, well, it's Democrat, it's a Democrat-run city, just like Detroit and Chicago and all the rest of them. And they just seem to go bad.
Well, I understand it. Well, this is a trend. This isn't just me and Dave talking. This is a trend throughout. Look at Oakland. Oakland was always a little troublemaker. And I live in the Bay Area, and I totally get that. But it's absolutely gotten worse. And and we just say, well, it's a Democrat-controlled city. So no, it's not. Well, yes, it is. And then you look at Chicago. My God, they went from a bad mayor to, oh my God, please, Jesus, help these people in that town because the mayor's ridiculous.
Yeah. What do you think about? Now, here's the thing. I brought up to Uncle Joel the other day. And I don't know. I'm probably not right on this one, but the area had that big news conference. I'm sure you were aware of it.
Yep.
About how the city's failing and it's going to go under and blah,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. So then the administration, and this is the key point as far as I'm concerned, this is when I brought up to Joel. I said the administration came out and did a rebuttal on Miss Daria Devlin's news conference.
Of course.
And their rebuttal was, oh, everything's great, and this happened, and we got this going, that's going, that. Everything's great. That's all a lie, what you think. And my point was to Joel, I don't talk to him anymore. I text him or whatever. And I said, and he read that whole statement. Now, that was from the administration.
Right.
And also on television, on TV 24, I don't know if you ever watch it, but they I believe before they talk about anything, they say Erie's what do they call it, election headquarters.
Right.
They'll put that across the screen, and then they report it on that. Well, my point of this whole thing is I think Joe should have came out personally on his own, not the administration, because that was a political stance by the administration on Joe's. I'm not a big Joe fan, mind you, but it was the administration that came out on Joe's side in a political issue. And I thought you're supposed to separate those two things.
Well, yeah, in the perfect world, you're absolutely right. But when you have the Democrat-controlled city of Erie with their, I know you can't see on the phone, but, as I put my quotations up there, their policies are basically just, it's all driven by the Democrat philosophies. Immigration, we're not going to cooperate with ICE. We need to be a welcoming city. We can be a welcoming city, but please just come legally. That's all we're asking for you to do. But they don't want to do that. They want to supersede what they're supposed to do because they're losing. They're losing the city. They're losing population. Businesses are really struggling to stay here. And, it's hard to recruit them when they Google up City of Erie and it's just all gloom and doom. And, who's spending money? The government. Look at that EMI project. That's, the city put a little money in, the state put some money in, the county put some money in, but the taxpayers are basically building that building. And I supported it. I went down there for the grip and grin and the photograph and all of us in our green safety hats that never seen a day of work. But that's okay. That's what the media wants. That's what we have to give them.
Yeah, that was my problem with that. The media was, and I don't know who they're for. I'm not for either one of them, believe me. But I just thought that was wrong. That the administration would come out with a statement, which is basically taking care of Joe Schimmer. It's basically saying no, that's wrong. Joe's doing a good job. We're not going under. Blah blah blah. That should have been done by Joe himself on a news conference, so to speak.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think their approach was not to put him out there because then it doesn't look quite so political. But then, that's such a scam because all Channel 24 does anymore is all, pro-Democrat stuff. Erie News Now, it's better. But, Scott Pressler came to town the other day. Where was Erie News Now? They were probably covering some floral show or a puppy dog adoption service.
Yeah, there was nothing about that. I noticed that.
Channel 24, I will give them fact. Channel 24 came out. Mr. Gallagher came out, a young reporter, good guy, did a great coverage, interviewed one of the candidates, did us a pretty good deal. But then, look, I would love to see the math behind what's the ratio of how many Democratic stories versus Republican stories. I don't have the math for it, but I bet you it's 5-1. 5-1.
There's no doubt.
5-1. And then again, I'll take a shot at Joe Natale. Look at his guest, Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. Here's your token Republican, Democrat, Democrat. And look at the video I played of Chuck Nelson, spewing his hate about how we in the county are taking Erie resources.
Right.
You should be lucky we go into that city and spend our money. But no, this is, Chuck Nelson's going to drill down and make it negative and anti-Republican. I say just don't spend a dime in the city, folks. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And as far as, like the people that they talk about housing, you got a housing problem in the city and everything. I was I worked for the city. And back in the day, you had to live in a city.
Right.
And I believe that every city employee should live in the city.
Yeah, I understand.
And I ride around out to the county and I see a lot of city vehicles, so to speak. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Parked in the driveways in Harbor Creek, Fairview. I think I might even see one above Girard someplace. And if I was the mayor, I don't know, this is just me, I would say you are not taking a city vehicle home unless you live in a city.
No, I mean, and I totally get that. That is expensive. At one time, they required it, but then they started then they started the civil service got involved, and then you had to take the test, and then you had to do this, and you had to do that, and then you used to be able to be hired by the Erie Police Department, and they would send you to the police academy. Am I correct?
That's correct. They paid for it too.
They don't do that anymore. They wait to, some young person decides to go to Mercyhurst, does their schooling, gets their certification, and then they pick them up. So the pool of potential recruitment is way down because, I'm not trying to be mean, but these guys and gals that are on the Erie Police Department, I fully support them. I wore that badge. I took that oath, but they're limiting the pool where they can get from. And let's face it, the pool has gotten pretty dry in the city of Erie with candidates that can get through the academy nowadays.
Yeah. Well, that's strictly, as far as the vehicles are concerned, that's strictly the mayor. He could definitely say that.
I totally get it.
He could definitely put that rule in effect. There's not going to be any. Now, as far as like you're saying about where you live, like you say, you went to the civil service deal and everything like that. So, but the vehicles being taken home, absolutely, the mayor can say no city vehicles are going to leave the city proper.
No, I totally get it, and it's just an issue of policy and cost and effect and. We have to do. That was something. If I would have got the sheriff, that would have been something we would have talked about because that cost a fortune, wear and tear in the vehicles, maintenance and gasoline, to as a perk. It's a perk.
Yeah,
and I get that.
I was just going to say that, and I don't believe, I don't believe that is for those particular people that are taking them vehicles home. I don't believe they pay income tax on that. In other words, that's not considered a perk. It is a perk, but it's not being portrayed as a perk regarding.
Right. It's not. It doesn't show up on your check.
Right.
So yeah, I don't want every time I go in the city of Erie, the Erie cops pull me over because I kind of disagree with them a little bit. But you got to look at it from administration, and you got to look at it from as sitting on council. We look at the budgets. We look how much money the sheriff's department spent on tires. We see how much money they spend on new vehicles, and in the gasoline. And those things get maybe 15 miles the gallon. And I can see maybe if you're a specialized team, SWAT, K9, you're on call, and I get that. But again, way out of my league. That's up to the mayor, but then the mayor doesn't want to rock the boat too hard.
Definitely doesn't want to rock the boat. And that's the big excuse, because I brought that up to him one time. I said, how come these vehicles are being taken home? Well, because of in case of an emergency, they can respond quickly. And I said, well, vehicles that respond quickly, have these guys live in the city. Tell them you got to live in the city in order to take these vehicles home.
Yeah, and then again, he doesn't want to rock the boat because you know what? It's pretty bad when your own police officers don't want to live in the city they work in because they know the problem child. They know.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to.
I don't blame them at all.
Because then, you're driving around Erie and then you see a police car. Well, that's a cop's house. Well, that's a target because, the folks in the city just love their cops so much.
That's what they used to do. I remember back in the day in Florida. I talked to them. I never heard of people taking police cars home except when I went to Florida. That was like in the 80s.
Right.
I go on vacation to Florida, and there was my buddy lived in a condo, and there was a police group, vehicle in the parking lot of the condo, and I happened to see this guy, and I talked to him. I said, "What's the deal with the cars taken home?" He says, "Well, that's exposure. It actually prevents crime because you're in the area
right
of your city, which was the city, whatever city I was. I think it was Margate, Florida, or whatever. But I thought, yeah, that's not a bad idea, But over here, you got the Erie police vehicles on Fairview.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a stretch. Not to make the guys mad. Like I said, I don't want to get pulled over every time they get in the city for, I got a light out and I get dinged for being mean. But, it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation about, the city is in trouble. And when you're in trouble, you have to look at, okay, how do we trim this up and make it a little better, make it a little easier in the city? What is it? I think the number I heard one time is high 70% of the city budget is payroll. Payroll. I get it. You got to have your fire. You got to have the police. But look at when management, the mayor, city council want to scrub some money from the budget, who do they go after? The fire departments, and that's bullshit. You need the fire department. You need the police department. Cut the guys that are sweeping the floors or something. I don't know. DEI hires, DEI people that are hired to make sure that we're doing DEI right. I don't know. I mean, that's a conversation we had on the county. We would have to put a budget together, and we would have to leave money in the budget for positions that haven't been filled in over 10 years because nobody wants to work on that position for $12 an hour. But, Brenton's like, why can't we cut these out? Well, here comes the political hand grenade out and gets tossed in the room because now it's politics. And you got to be careful not to step on the union guys too hard because you're cutting their jobs. And we get that. But that's why it's a hard deal. I mean, it is really a tough thing.
Yeah, Kim's making some good comments. They don't want to live in the city because of the taxes and fees, and they also don't want to send their kids to the crappy school that Devlin's screwed up. All true. Yeah,
and that's what I look at track records. I mean, she was on the Erie School Board, and they are one of the worst school districts in Pennsylvania. So now you want to give her a promotion? We had this old saying, and I'll be nice. We had an old saying in the Army: you screw up, you move up. And that's Erie Politics 101.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
They just recycle the same people with the same names through the same jobs, expecting something different. And I tell people, Brian, who would you vote for if you could? I said, I'd vote for Joe Schember. They're like, what? I said, at least he's an old school Democrat that is reasonable. The others, when the Democrat Party with their anti-liberal DEI hire bullshit is endorsing her, ding, 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 ding. You people better pay attention to the big picture, not just I'm mad at Joe because we're on the shore. It pisses me off too, but man, at least he's a reasonable Democrat.
Yeah, that's who I'm. I'm a registered Dem, like I told you before,
right.
And I have to be in this city because I have to vote for
right.
That does the least amount of damage, but then come to general, I go strictly R.
Right.
So, I'm probably gonna give Joe. I'll give Joe a nod this time, and then come time for the general, it's gonna be the.
But It's the same thing in how I feel about the county executive race. If I was a Dem, I'd vote for Vogel. She's a businesswoman. She owns, several pizza shops. Yeah, it's a pizza shop, but you know what? She writes paychecks, and she has to make decisions every day on how to run her business and make a profit. And she has a store out here in Harbor Creek. She supports American Legion. She supports a lot of good charities. What has Perry Wood done other than hand out our dollars?
Yeah,
we got some videos. Yeah, don't worry. We got some cool videos on that because it's bullshit. This whole Perry Wood thing. He needs to go. I like Miss Vogel. I wish her all the luck. We have been talking about having her on the show. And we're like, will you be Republicans? No, you're a Democrat. Vogel wants to come on. I'll bring her on. But I won't let Wood come on here because he's a shyster.
Right. Well, I'm gonna get off. Let somebody else get on.
All right, Dave. Thanks, man.
Have a good one.
Yeah, sorry about the call thing, man. We check everything. We check everything before we go live, and the phone was working okay. And then Brenda sent me a text. We can't hear them. So, welcome to that. And then we had I had another call, and I'll call JD back. I wish it was JD Vance, but we got JD Longo. They're still good guys. I get to my phone.
Brian, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. You are live, so no jokes.
I'm sorry I'm not JD Vance, Brian, but I just wanted to call in and say hello to you.
It was nice seeing you the other day. You drove up to Erie. You walked in the rain. A Marine is not scared of a little bit of rain. Now you're running for re-election. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, sir. I'm running for re-election right now. I'm in the midst of or at the end, rather, of my second 4-year term as the mayor of Slippery Rock. So I'm running with the hope that the people will honor me with a third term. And it's been a great honor, So I'd like to continue all the great work that I've done with my colleagues here in this area, and what I think is leading from the front and by example through true conservative ideology and principle.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Kim sent me, I believe it was your advertisement for a yard sign. So that is up on the screen right now. But my wonderful wife just made a slight change for it on it. And it says, it's exactly what you sent us. But at the bottom, it says Slippery Rock Mayor. So we wanted people to get that visual. Hey, this is who this good looking guy is and what's he running for. So, yeah, I put some great pictures of you up on the stage on the rain yesterday, I know you. Now, tell us a little bit, tell us your story. Where are you coming from and where are you going, Marine?
Oh, gosh. Well, let me start with this. For those of you who don't know, I came up to Erie yesterday, and I had the pleasure of seeing Brian Shank and Kim Hunter and all sorts of good folks in Erie, Pennsylvania for the People for Life annual Erie March for Life, where we walked around downtown Erie, and I got to say a few words to a crowd of about 140 people, despite the cold weather and the rain. It was a great turnout, and that was a great honor for me. But, my story goes back a few years. I'll take you back to 2008 when I graduated from Beaver Area High School in Beaver, Pennsylvania. That's the county seat, of course, of Beaver County. I joined the Marine Corps, become an infantry rifleman, go down range to Afghanistan. I served as part of the Regimental Quick Reaction Force there. Spent most of my time in Afghanistan from 2010 to 2011 in a place called Sangin. But I had about 150 square kilometer area of operations where I got to see basically the southwestern quadrant, or 25% of the country. So I saw Sangin, Musa Kela, Nowzad, Guri, Gavmishi, Goresk. For those of you who follow that followed that war or happen to be in the military, those names will ring a bell to you. But get out of the Marine Corps. I bought my house in downtown Slippery Rock, enroll at Slippery Rock University. I do 2 degrees back to back. I get an undergrad in history, a master's in education. And during those 5 years that I was going to school and being a homeowner, my property taxes go up 2 times, almost for a total of 20%. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Brian, pardon my French on Sunday, but I was pissed off because
That's right.
Majority of the council, in fact, 100% of our town council were Democrats who saw fit to raise our taxes and make Slippery Rock the second highest tax municipality in all of Butler County.
Wow.
Now that was, I know, unacceptable. Now that was despite the fact that we didn't have a full-time 24/7 police department. Our roads were in shambles. Our stormwater management was not present. I was thinking to myself, what the hell are we paying for? So I started to take a finer look at it. I also found at the time that even though we only had a $1.2 million budget for our community, they had taken over $850,000 worth of debt and put it on top of our taxpayers and constituents. Again, unacceptable. So I decided, you know what? I did my service and my time in service to my country as a Marine. I was looking for opportunities to serve my nation again, serve my neighbors, and do the right thing. And I thought maybe it's time that I stop complaining about these things and I try to do something about them. So I threw my hat in the race, and by the will of the people and God, I became mayor in January 2018. And I became Slippery Rock's youngest mayor ever elected at that point. I was only 28 years old. Well, I hadn't even yet turned 28 whenever I took the oath, but I turned 28 that year. And I'm proud to tell you, we haven't raised our property taxes one time in 7.5 years that I've been in office, Brian.
Wow.
Our public debt is now under $200,000. In fact, we're on track to erase 100% of our public debt by the end of this year, 2025. And we've reduced fees for businesses in our fee resolution. We've given them 25% discounts. We've increased our police force and presence. We've increased constituent services. We went from a part-time code office also to a full-time code enforcement officer who is a resident of Slippery Rock. We have a secretary and treasurer who work full-time for us, a manager who work full-time for us. My point in telling you this is that despite not ever raising our taxes and reducing our public debt, we were able to increase the services that we were able to give to our constituents. And that is really something that we're proud of because not only did we increase our police presence in a university town, which I don't have to tell you is very important because the fact of the matter is we have almost 25,000 people here in town and Slippery Rock University is in town. But so too did we bolster our roads crew. In the last 7 years, we've done over 6,100 feet of new stormwater line to help us manage these catastrophic flooding events that Western Pennsylvania is looking at often. We've replaced 64 culverts and catch basins and counting, and that's all been done in-house rather than contracting it out to folks who are going to take advantage of us and our taxpayers. We are being efficient. And so I like to say, Brian, that we were doing Doge before Doge was ever even thinking.
That's a great way to put it. All I know is, could you please write we'll go back to our military training, an SOP or an SOG that you could give to like the mayor of, I don't know, Erie, and maybe the supervisors of Mill Creek on how to properly run a city and get rid of the debt and provide more services, which is like unheard of. And, that's why I have zero doubt in your reelection run. I know you told some good stories about how much hate you have down in your neck of the woods, especially like on the 4th of July story. When you told me that story, I wanted to throw up. These people they want to hate this country, but they don't mind embracing the freedoms that this country gives them.
Right.
Ridiculous.
It certainly is, Brian. And to bring it into full perspective for your listeners, yesterday, while 140 of us were marching in the freezing cold rain for life, that our children, our unborn especially, will be able to enjoy the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. We had 50 or 60 individuals, Democrats, extreme leftists, who were protesting here in Slippery Rock while I was up there. And their signs, of course, said everything about me and about Donald Trump and what have you. And,
Of course.
for the life of me, Brian, I can't understand what it is they're protesting. Do they like or do they not like seeing our public spending decrease? Do they not like seeing our border secure? Do they not like seeing all the great many things that we're doing? Or in my instance, are they upset that I've stood in the way of property tax increases for 7.5 years? Are they upset that we're almost at $0 of public debt? For the life of me, I just can't understand what it is that these folks are after, Brian. But one thing's for sure, we're fighting a good fight on all fronts, and God is with us. I really believe that, and we're going to continue to do what it is that we know is necessary to keep our communities like Erie, like Slippery Rock, and like the United States pushing forward.
And we hope that the philosophy that you've embraced will catch on and will spread, because why should we have to live under this just unbelievable burden of debt that we have in the state? We have fortunately the county runs pretty well. We have a surplus, but we do at budget time have a little bit of an upside down issue. And, because the cost of everything has gone up, the union, we had to pay more people more in their wages and stuff. And that's perfectly fine. To raise taxes. I have never heard of such craziness. But again, it's the Republican Party doing the Democrat.
I have these talks with my neighbors here in my community or in places all over Western Pennsylvania. I understand that there are people who are going to disagree with the president and his administrative
Totally agree.
And let me caveat this by saying that anybody who knows me knows that I'm fully on board, 110% behind the president and his administration. Anyone who saw me over the years, especially last year, would know that I've been in lockstep with him and behind him. So what my point is in saying this is, regardless of what their disagreements with the president and the executive branch and his administration are, I would think that Republican leadership in municipalities and communities like ours, Brian, has proven to these people, our friends and neighbors and family members, that it is the kind of leadership that's necessary to allow for our communities to thrive. Because time and again, we see communities who have been under Democrat leadership, sometimes for generations, as is the case in places like Erie and places like Pittsburgh, that have done nothing but show complete and utter failure. And so I wonder, is it possible and is it time for us to be able to show all of the successes for communities like ours here in Slippery Rock? Because here's the thing, Brian, what we're doing in Slippery Rock is nothing that is extraordinary. Truth be told, we're just doing what makes total sense. We are commonsensical, and we're doing what makes sense. You live within your means, just like you would expect anybody else to live, right? You don't live on credit card. You don't take out giant loans. You certainly don't take out loans whenever you know your cash flow isn't going to be there, and you focus on the things that matter the most. We're talking stormwater management, not DEI and social justice initiatives. One thing that your county, I was just thinking, one thing your county can do, because this is something that I did whenever I came into office, I took a look at different contracts and things, expenditures that we were taking on to see whether or not they were absolutely necessary. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars just to have somebody come in and trade out the running mat carpets that are in our office. That was unacceptable. Why would we spend that kind of money? Another example was we had, I think, $1,500 or $1,600 just in magazine subscriptions alone. Why is it that we have those subscriptions? Get that money go into our infrastructure, upkeep, and maintenance. Those are the kinds of things that municipalities and counties can take a look at to find some really nice cost savings.
And that's what we try to preach, is common sense. And unfortunately, this is the one that I always get in trouble with. We have been dumbing down America for so long. So these type of common sense things are like building a rocket. wife, your child is taken care of, how it is, but we can't seem to apply that to government. And then here comes Doge. Oh my God, you're un-American. You're stealing our rights. What rights have we stolen? And you hear crickets because it's just propaganda. And we're going to talk about the propaganda machine locally in our local politics when we're done with you, because the county executive race here is a real barn burner. And Dr. Perry Wood is out of control with his lies. And we're gonna expose some of that today.
Gosh, well, Brian, I'm just grateful that there are folks like you and like us who are out here speaking up and using our voice and exercising our First Amendment right to free speech and protest, freedom of the press, etc., to allow the people to see and hear a different side of things. That's arguably the most important thing that we can do, is just present the information to individuals, because so often the people are kept ignorant by those who are in power because they control the narrative up at the top. And you're doing God's work down here, Brian, on the ground floor. Yeah,
and then again, I don't know. I know we like to poke fun at the Marine Corps, the Army guys poke fun at the Air Force. We are all one great team. But trust me, if there's an airman down somewhere, the Marines will be the first ones to go grab him out of the woods and drag him home. But it's just what we do as service members and men and women amongst our own ranks. I always joke, I was in the Army. I went to an air base. I went, wow, did I make a mistake of which branch I chose? But it's all good, because if I wouldn't have joined the Army, I would have never done the things I did. And the same thing with you. I was blessed. I'm a little bit older. I didn't have to fire shot in anger, but I was part of the Cold War thing, and we were over in Europe. And man, you were just nervous because you just didn't know, man. And today could be the day that Russia decides to get angry at us, and we got out of there unscathed. But I appreciate your call, sir. Anytime you have an open invitation to call. If you want to do a video and show off your lovely new daughter, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you so much, Brian. Please give my best to your missus and to all of your guests. It was a pleasure being with you here yesterday. I hope that we'll get a chance to share.
You have an invitation.
Fellowship soon.
Yeah, anytime you want to come up to the big city, and we'll take care of you.
Excellent. Hey, be well. Happy Sunday, everyone.
All right, check out. Well, there you go. We're just trying to reach out and talk to people that, this isn't just about Erie or Harbor Creek or Summit. It's about our country and what we need to do to make it better. And I can't fathom why nobody wants, and it's such an evil, nasty thing to make America great again. Oh, that's right, because Donald Trump said it. If John F. K. would have said it, it'd have been great. No, we can't do it that way. So, Brenda, I've been talking for 45 minutes. You got a video for me?
Another incredibly busy week for President Trump and the entire administration. Let's get to it for the MAGA Minute. IBM, Merck, Mercedes-Benz, Walmart, Dell, Pratt Industries, and many others announced they'd be joining the long list of companies reaffirming support for American-made projects and investing in our economy. The president hosted the Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, at the White House. The president also participated in a National Day of Prayer event, and he signed a landmark rare earth minerals agreement with Ukraine, thereby ensuring U.S. access to critical natural resources while also advancing peace negotiations. The First Lady's historic Take It Down Act passed in Congress, soon to go to the president's desk, and the president signed a proclamation incentivizing domestic automobile production. President Trump also signed an executive order to keep American families safe on the road by ensuring everyone behind the wheel of a commercial vehicle is properly qualified and proficient in the English language. The president also signed an executive order to identify and combat sanctuary cities who are sheltering illegal migrant criminals so we can hold them accountable. He signed an executive order ending the taxpayer subsidization of the left-wing NPR and PBS. Vice President Vance traveled to Nucor Steel in South Carolina, and the president delivered remarks at the University of Alabama 2025 commencement ceremony. And finally, Americans experienced the second month in a row where the jobs report beat expectations. We added 177,000 jobs to the economy, with wages rising and labor force participation increasing, all thanks to President Trump. And we'll see you for next week's MAGA Minute.
We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, the 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration.
The United States in 2028.
On the Democratic side, do you think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, is the new leader? Could it be Vance AOC in 2028?
President AOC, the stuff of nightmares, Brett. Thank you. You've ruined my sleep for this evening.
Oh, the things of nightmares. I'm telling you, JD, these Marine guys, bless their hearts. They just, their filters are a little bit thin sometimes, and they just call it as they see it. And that's what we expect. And that's what we should be doing. But yeah, yes, see, let me get that. Kim, she had called, get her call back. We'll get a short call from her with the Kim update.
Well, hello, Mr. Shank.
Well, hi, Kim. We decided we're going to give the Kim update like, our wonderful press secretary does. So what's going on?
So what's going on? I got to say something about my good friend, Mayor Longo, because he's a little bit humble. I just want to point out a few other things that he's done. He also worked with Scott Pressler in the Early Vote Action Group. So he's out there getting people registered with the Republican Party, and he's out there turning the R's to D's. And he will be here working hard in Erie County, which we're all going to benefit from. He was also one of the electors for the state of Pennsylvania, so he was out there casting that important vote for President Trump.
Well, yeah,
so he's a great mover and shaker, and he's one of the people that's going to help me, along with two other great financial people, to get the Erie City Council budget straightened out.
Yeah, and again, that's what I said. And most Marines are very humble people, and he's a very religious man. And also, I think that's where him being humble really plays well, because he believes and what he preaches, and we get that. He's a great public speaker. It's fun to watch him speak. He works the crowd. He can talk to them, doesn't talk down to them. And he stood out in the rain with them, no microphone, nothing. And then he walked with them in a suit and a tie and a jacket. So yeah, he's a very humble guy. Slippery Rock is so blessed to have him as a mayor, to where you show me a township that does have less than $200,000 in debt, and I'll buy you lunch.
Right. And he also teaches full-time at Slippery Rock University. And this is a great thing. He reaches out to expand on their programs. And he's actually working with our good friend Greg Hayes to bring North Coast Flight School out there as well. So these young kids could actually get their pilot's license when they graduate. So, he does so much more than is just a mayor to help the community of Slippery Rock. And like I tell people all the time, do I have all the answers? No. But like Brian says, I surround myself with very, very smart people, because I do want to work hard for the good taxpayers, everyone in the city of Erie. Just not the Republicans, the Democrats, the independents, because I truly believe that we can make Erie great again. And once I'm elected, you will not see a tax increase. You will not see a fee on anything. As a matter of fact, I want to work hard to rescind a lot of these stupid, which I truly believe are illegal fees that they've attached to, things like our water. It's ridiculous. You need water to live. There should not be any kind of fee attached to that.
Oh, I totally get it. But the problem is they just play it loose and loosey-goosey with the money. And, like Dan Laughlin posted, and it was a reminder of how much money they voted to give the controller a pay raise, like a 90% pay raise with some ungodly number. And then a couple months later, here comes Chucky Nelson. Oh, I'm running for controller. Oh, gee, let me put my shock face on.
Right. Well, and he's got such a big head. A lot of them are still living in this Democratic bubble where he just assumes that he's going to get the position. So I am so grateful that there's two other Democrats, and basically they're common sense, old school Democrats. And I love it because I'm working with another group called Turn Philly Red, and the people that started it are Democrats that went to the Republican Party, and their hashtag is the old blue is a new red. Because they do not like just the way their city has gone. Yeah. And these other two Democrats are basically old school Democrats, and I'm so glad that they're going up against him, because I truly in my heart believe that God has a better path for all of us, and I do not believe that Chuck Nelson's going to make it to the primary.
That's my prediction. I've been I try not to get too involved in making predictions. I'm going to go ahead and make that prediction because I look at the two Democrats that running against him. They've got him smoked out the gate. I mean, really, Miss Sanfilippo, she's county employee, great, just a nice lady, hardworking, knowledgeable, and Ed is that old school. He's got so much institutional knowledge on how the city works. And and Mr. What do they call him? Rocket Boy. We're gonna call him Rocket Boy, or what do they call him? Rocky, with his only answer to stop the flow of traffic and slow it down was to throw rocks at him. Come on, this isn't the medieval times. We're supposed to be sophisticated. You have a forum, talk about it, get the state involved, and show what the problem is, and put a light up. Not throw rocks at cars. Come on, man. That's a Democrat
and
quote.
He only preaches hate.
I know.
Negative. And people don't want to hear that anymore. They want to hear positive things. They want to hear hope. Who wants to live in dread and fear all the time?
And he loves calling people names. He has no problem. He called us over the Red Hat thing. Called us bitches, and I apologize to use such language on Sunday, but it's the fact. And what kind
of what church he preaches at, because I don't know of any preacher that talks the way he does.
That must be the Church of Rocks or something. I don't know. I don't get it. Rock Copeland goes.
Comments at Church of Satan, but I don't know. And on to better and beautiful things. Everybody, we have. You guys got to get out there, please, and thank you. Grab your friends, grab your family. I'm gonna harp on you. Please go up to the courthouse, take a few minutes, and go vote in person. And I want to make this very clear. We only have one Republican running for judge, and that's Leanne Orton. You're going to see on there Leanne Orton, you're going to see Mursky, and you're going to see Jeremy Leitner. Please cast your vote for Leanne Orton. She's the only true red-blooded Republican on the ballot. They can cross-file. I also want to put in there, don't forget about your great people who have taken the time to run for judges of elections, okay? That takes a lot of training. It takes all day from the time, an hour before the polls open, and usually 2 to 3 hours after the polls close. They're the ones that are going to stop the cheating. So please give them your support. When you go in person and vote, hey, grab a dozen cookies or something. Show them your love. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, and just to let you know, tomorrow is the last official day to register to vote. You have two options. A, you scan my QR code that I have on the screen. That'll take you to my link tree. That'll take you to the Pennsylvania official. I need to get registered to vote because I'm a procrastinator. Get that done, or you can fill out a paper one, and you have to take it down to the courthouse. You have to get in there by the close of business, but be prepared. Early voting is going on, and it's the last day to register to vote or change your party. So I would highly suggest to grab a friend. You can Google it up if you don't do the whole QR code thing. It's on the screen. You snap it, take you to the link tree, click voter registration. It'll take you 5 minutes. You need a driver's license and be a U.S. citizen. Isn't that amazing? it's funny how you're required to do when you do it online. You have to have a driver's license, but they don't want to have to do a driver's license in person. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. And here's another one for you. I know a lot of you have friends that are registered Republicans or registered Democrats, and they might not want to change their party. That's fine. But maybe they don't agree with the politics of the Democrats. Okay? They have to vote their party in the primary. Okay? But they do have another option. They can write in Republicans on their ballot. Am I correct, Brian?
Yep.
So, you have a Democratic friend, and they might not like the candidates that are on there. Tell them to go ahead, and they can write in Republicans. And we should have enough poll greeters that will hand them a card with our recommended candidates. Tell them to take that card in there, and they can write in Republicans on that ballot. And if you are interested in still being a judge of elections, listen, you can stand in front of the polls and pass out a piece of paper, say, write me in for judge of elections. Just you have to be at the site where you normally vote. So
right.
That is another option for you guys and girls. If you still want to be a judge of elections, go to your polling site and pass out a little card or a piece of paper asking people to write you in for judge of elections. So that's what I've got to say today. We appreciate all of your support. We appreciate all of your love. And if you're not doing anything this next Saturday on May the 10th, show up at South Area Turners, show some love to Mom. They are great Republicans. Joe Glassman, I don't know what I would do without him. He's in that band. And then the following Saturday, May 17th, show up out at Harbor Creek from 10 to 1 for the big truck event. The kids have a great time and listen to some great tunes with my absolute favorite DJ, Mr. Brian Shank.
Thank you.
Everybody enjoy your Sunday. Have a blessed day, and I hope to see and hear from all of you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, Brian and Brenda. Love you both so much.
Appreciate it. Well, look at that. We have Lieutenant Matt. He is coming from drill, tuning in from drill. And Matt is running for the city controller. He's a Republican. He is unopposed in the primaries, so he needs to put his boots on the ground and really get hustling after the primary. But he's already, working his campaign, getting the kinks worked out. We decided to run his big ad up here because this is an important job. He's a number geek. It's not an insult. He is a number geek, and I'm telling you, bless your heart for being that. But yeah, he's tuning in from drill. And Matt, we appreciate you stopping by and saying hi. But yeah, that way we can talk about you. But we got a lot of things to talk about. I'm gonna put this put a video up, Brenda. Give me a break. Whew.
Here is the White House responding to Kamala Harris's speech in San Francisco last night. Let's watch.
Last night, Kamala Harris delivered her first major speech after losing the election. She attacked Trump personally, attacked the policies. Any comment from the White House on that?
Well, I think it was a great reminder to the American people of just how blessed we all are that the leader sitting in the Oval Office today is President Donald Trump and not President Kamala Harris. It was a helpful reminder of just what a travesty and a tragedy that would have been. It would have been the end of America. And it gives me a chance to bring this whole thing home. If we continued on this road of radical regulation, choking off American energy, sending our supply chains to foreign countries, taxing our economy to death, pushing this cancerous woke ideology on our children, ending merit, ending scientific innovation, ending public safety, allowing, everyone goes to the stores these days, everything's locked up, criminals roam free, law-abiding citizens under the previous administration were punished while gangbangers were given red carpet treatment. Democrats, of course, are still giving gangbangers red carpet treatment. And then the border invasion. If those policies had continued, it would have been the end of the American Republic. And the only thing Americans want to hear from Kamala Harris is an apology for joining Joe Biden, and remember, she was the border czar, joining Joe Biden in aiding and abetting the invasion of our country. And we're never going to stop talking about this because what they did to this country is unforgivable.
Yeah. Got another video, Brenda?
Hey, hi, this is Scott Pressler and Kim Hunter. We're here in Erie County, Pennsylvania. That's why I just have this says make Erie great again. Now, you have an election on May 20th. Kim Hunter is running for city council. So, I encourage you, register to vote today. Go to vote.pa.gov. Make a plan to vote in the May 20th primary and make sure that Kim Hunter is going to be elected to the Erie City Council. Let's make history. And if you truly want to make Erie great again, it starts with Kim Hunter. Thank you, guys.
And of course, that's Scott Pressler. He was live in Erie the other day, and it was really a blessing for Scott to give Kim his endorsement, a video endorsement. And yes, Kim is kind of short, but Scott is really tall. So that's why it's like, wow, is he standing on a platform or something? No, he's like 6 something, and Kim's like down here-ish. But that's okay. Great endorsement, great time. We had a blast together. He knows how to rock a room. There's photos all over social media. Channel 24, you can go. They did a story and interviewed some of our local candidates. Thank you. It's nice to see that news is being fair and balanced, not just doing the left stuff. So, do you have the Perry Wood video up next? It looks like I see that in the queue.
Liar, pants on fire. See squirm, see you perspire. Liar, liar, pants on fire. See squirm, see you perspire.
Yeah, this all comes down to some post. Now, here's the post that he originally put out. Perry Wood invested millions improving child care for families across Erie County. That is the biggest pile of lies and dookies. Now, here's what it actually says. Nope, that's not it. That wasn't the right one. Oh, it's that one. Yeah, taxpayers invested millions improving child care for families across Erie County with a growing taxpayers for child care. That's why taxpayers don't trust Perry Wood. But he spins the whole thing around that he did this. He doesn't do jack shit, nothing other than sit up there and make $150,000 a year to hand out gaming revenue monies that's supposed to be for we the people and help our taxes. So this is the guy the Democrats put up because he's a high-profile guy. He's always on the news with a paper check, handing it out to some poor little Save the Snail nonprofit when we are all struggling with our taxes because the tax and spend Democrats that run this areas and our governor, and that's why the Democrats are trying so hard to just get Breton pushed out of there because he is holding people feet to the fire. He was able to take ARPA funds and all these other monies and make it worth twice and 3-4 times the money's actually face value. And getting it invested in our infrastructure, actually putting sewers in, putting water lines in. That's great that Perry walks around and hands paper checks out and people can buy a new set of, tapestry for their store. Hey, that's really great. And that looks really pretty, but it doesn't pay the bills. And they spend, over almost $500,000 on overhead for their fancy pants, overpriced offices out here in Harbor Creek up at Penn State Barron. And if you've been paying attention to social media, they're getting their feet put to the fire. The Attorney General's office, they're all looking at this because, there was literally, a stack of receipts, 2 pages long of Amazon. Why do they need 20 iPad or iPhone chargers for one office. Their coffee, my God, they go through more coffee than a coffee buck at Starbucks. These people it's fraud, it's waste, and it's abuse. And they're trying to make him the county executive? Absolutely not. That's why I tell people, you know what? Go vote for Vogel. At least she's a hard working, honest businesswoman that actually signs a paycheck and makes people, gives them jobs and helps the community other than giving other people tax dollars, gaming revenue away. And look what the casinos are doing. They've been in the news. Revenue's down, revenue's down. Why? Because the state taxes them at an outrageous amount other than, so New York and Ohio tax at a less number. So guess where they go? They go to New York and they go there because Pennsylvania is greedy. The governor's greedy. And remember, they were supposed to do the casinos to help us lower our taxes on our properties. Not one dime, people. Perry Wood's a fraud. He has been nothing but a fraud his whole entire career. He didn't even pay for his own doctorate. He pawned it off on us. Fraud. That's why I have no problem coming after him and exposing what he does up there, which is a fat nothing. Nothing other than walking around with paper checks. It's bullshit. We gave out grants on the county council and we got paid 53 cents an hour, not $150,000 a year. So we are getting flamboozled. He is a flamboozle. And that's why the whole artwork, Brenda, if you can play that video again about Pinocchio, because every time he opens his mouth, it's a fraudulent lie. Allegedly. I don't want Dr. Perry Wood to come and sue me for using my First Amendment rights on a flamboozle.
Liar, pants on fire, see squirm, see you perspire. Liar, liar, pants on fire, see squirm, see you perspire.
Pinocchio Perry. And that is the God honest truth. So people, you know what? If you're a Democrat, you got to do what you got to do. You want to vote for someone that if I was a Democrat and I would vote for, I'd vote for Vogel. I know someone made a comment. Well, she didn't really do the whole debate thing well. She's not a politician. She's not a slick Willie Perry Wood guy that just loves to be in front of the camera and spent the last couple of years in front of the camera, in front of giving money away of the people, the people's money. You know what? I don't know how these people sleep at night. I really don't. Nonprofits just flamboozling us out of tax dollars, DEI, $150,000 plus for their director. Dr. Perry Wood up on the Hill, almost 150,000 or more. I can't remember. I can't remember what the last number was. But these people just laugh their way to the bank and they all stand around. He does a great job. He stands there and hands a paper check out and then does all this bullshit traveling. Why? You get the money from us, the Pennsylvania taxpayers. It comes from us. And you are traveling. They bought over 100 different books. Now, if they were all about economic development and how to make money for your community, I would almost, no, it's all bullshit about history. Yeah, that's fine. You got to know history to do your job. But you know what? They buy like 12, 15 of one book. It's all bullshit. It's all online. You people need to do your research. Check this stuff out because we are getting scammed, and more scammed. And that's why I will not in 100 years support anything Dr. Perry Wood does. And that doctorate, that's our doctorate. We paid for it. And that's bullshit. Pardon my French on Sunday, but man, this just gets me fired up. Brenda, another video.
Hey everybody, this is Scott Pressler. I am here in Erie County. Erie predicts the next president. Erie controls who wins Pennsylvania. And I'm asking you right now, if you want to volunteer, I will connect you with Donna Reese. Please send me first name, last name, cell phone, email. I'm going to send it to Donna, and we are going to grow this county here. We're going to grow the Republican Party because this November we're going to have huge success. We're going to win Erie City Council, and we have a message for the Democrats. We are peacefully coming, and we are going to flip this area from blue to red.
If you're not following Scott Pressler, please do. Go on his social media, tell him it's hello. And he's a real motivator, tall guy, long hair, and he just knows how to talk to the crowd. I mean, it was so funny. People were just like, they wanted to be part of this event, and they wanted to talk to him, shake his hand, get a photo with him, because he's just a guy that travels all over the place. And he came to Pennsylvania to talk to the Amish, got a lot of them voted. They worked on getting truck drivers registered to vote. Some of them were kind of disengaged, saying, hey, our votes don't matter, we're on the road anyway. Well, hey, we can do a mail-in ballot. Oh, okay. And then now we have to work on our hunters. I am shocked that people that live and breathe hunting, that get up at 3:00 in the morning, drive 2 hours, walk through the snow, sit out in the snow to shoot a deer, aren't registered to vote. Mind blowing. And if you don't think the Democrats are coming after your Second Amendment, look at what they're doing up on the Capitol right now. Here comes another round of, we're coming for your guns, because the Democrats want to rattle the cage and put some hot topic item up to talk about while here comes the midterms, and they're going to make this they're going to die on this hill. They tried to die on the hill on bringing, illegals back from El Salvador. They died on that hill. The whole I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna filibuster for 20 some hours. You didn't filibuster. There was no legislation on the floor. You just had a rant for 20 plus hours. Every stupid thing they come up with is they're just dying on that hill, trying to grab one thing that they can get Trump on. Oh, he deported. No due process. No due process. No due process. It's bullshit. They got their due process when they walked across the border illegally and they got arrested. There was your due process. Have a nice day. So what you got? You got that. Something's will add up. We'll talk about the summit. Township Supervisor of Summit. Man, I'm telling you, we got the Democrat Jack Lee up there. Decent guy. He's a hardworking guy. I like talking to him about motorcycles and stuff. I don't talk politics. He is out there left. So now we got two great candidates coming up in the primary. Two great. You got Mark Sleppy and Michael Pace. We've ran stuff for Michael Pace on the show. There's his ad. I want to make sure that I'm giving balanced time to both the Republicans, because I personally know both of these gentlemen. They're both fine gentlemen. Whoever comes out of this as a winner and takes out Jack Lee, I will salute you, because I know you both have your feet on the ground and actually care about Summit. And like I talked about at the Spressler event, when I was talking about all the different candidates, up in Summit, it's a small little town. They literally decide the winner or losers by votes. And I'm not talking 1,000 votes, 100 votes. I'm talking 10 votes, people. And that's why we try to tell you, do not get disengaged. Do not listen to the fodder. Do not listen to the Democrat bullshit. We did it once with Trump. Now let's keep the momentum going and let's push to get these smaller races taken care of. Because 4 votes, people, on some of these townships, you have 3 supervisors. It takes 2 votes to raise your taxes. 2. On city council, takes 4. County council, 4. I don't really disagree with the guys out here at Harbor Creek. They do a great job, all 3 of them. But there's 3 of them. It takes 2 votes, and they control the board. That's scary stuff. So you have to make sure you have the right person for the right job. And if you're a Democrat and you're disenfranchised, you have till tomorrow close of business to change that. I would highly suggest that, or you can just write your candidate in. I'm okay with the write-in stuff. It's a little tricky. Usually, you get a decent bang for your buck, but just change your party affiliation. Vote for the Republican. If you want to be a Democrat, change back. It doesn't cost you anything, guys, gals. You just go online, hit a button, boop, 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 boop. Driver's license, birth date. Have a nice day. Change from R to D. Go from D to R. I was a D. I went online on my smartphone. 3 minutes later, I was a Republican. Welcome to the jungle. Brenda, I see you have another one on deck for us.
One day, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but
there you go. You want some T-shirts? Reach out to Brenda and get some T-shirts. Keep it watching social media. A lot of things coming up. We're going to be asking for volunteers to come out and help knock some doors after the primary. The 4 Republicans that are running for the city, no problem. There's 4 spots. 4 Republicans will go forward, but then it's time to get to work. Then the gloves come off, and that's okay. Did you say you had other videos you wanted to add?
Yes, give me a minute.
Yeah, you're fine, dear. I get that. But no, I mean, that was nice to see, JD come out and talk about his some stuff done in Slippery Rock. And he wants to be interactive with us up here because, Erie kind of sets the tone of what's going on politically. And then we got to think about what's coming up. We got a governor's race coming up. We have to win. Just remember, Governor Wolf locked us down illegally, locked us all down. People were shooting each other for toilet paper. And who was the attorney general that backed him up? You want to take a guess? Yeah, our now governor. And he wants, and they're warming him up because remember his name was tossed around for president. And don't you think they're not going to run him for president? You watch. So he's going to run for governor. Yeah, they're going to try to get him reelected. He gets reelected, and he'll just step out and run for president. Boys and girls, we're in a lot of trouble because he is nothing but a tax and spend Democrat. Look what he's done. There's nothing. I mean, there's a couple things he's done. I met him once in Northeast. He came down to the police academy. We were all invited to come meet the governor. I came down. He did take a very proactive stance on putting more money into law enforcement, which was good. I was shocked, really shocked, because the Democrats had basically shredded the local police departments, and they were defund the police, spit on the police, and just be outright nasty. Well, Shapiro's smart to have their backing, so he was made sure to put some money in there. And of course, where do you think all your gas tax goes to support the PSP? I don't want the troopers mad at me. I'm just saying, we get it. But we have to be realistic also that there's not an endless supply of money to do these high-end projects, and we can't afford them. It's just like all of us. We on a daily basis, we look at our budget and say, well, do I need to buy those fancy rims for my Hummer? No, but they would be cool. But that's right, you got to pay the taxes. But I had to write a check the other day, $800 some bucks for my school taxes. Went to the bank, took the money out, went down there, paid taxes for the school because I know it's a good investment. It's a good investment. Harbor Creek school districts are great. They do a great job. They're never on the news. They keep the tax increases reasonable. And the boss lady sent me a text, said her video is ready.
It helps when you know that borders are not racist, speech is not violence, America is good, terrorists are bad, men can never become women, police are not criminals, and criminals are not victims.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say
I
that
tell
the
you
rise
what,
in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually should be more fearful of white men across our country.
Did you hear what she just said? We should be more fearful of white men. Now, are you absolutely positively this woman has lost her mind? And they just keep voting her in because they stacked the deck in her district. But here it is again. I want you people to really listen to what she's saying about you and I right now.
Of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. And so if fear was the driving force of policies to keep America safe, Americans safe inside of this country, we should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Unbelievable. Hear this wonderful human being that has some very questionable approaches on immigration that probably didn't even legally immigrate to this country is calling us, the white man, a threat. Now, I don't know where she gets her facts or numbers from, but yeah, I think she's a little bit off base on that. And talk about being racist. Let's just say that, yeah, you should be fearful of the white man. Now, I'm going to go with a big fat no. The human race, yes, but not just one specific color. You know, I get that. So, other than that, I think that's going to work. I think that's it. I think we talked some good stuff. We had JD, we had Kim, we had Dave. We had some great conversation, great text messages, great conversations going on in the room here. I wish I could post them all, but that gets a little cumbersome. See, I like that. Old blue is the new red, and I get that, and I totally get that, and it's just here's another nice text from Kim. Download the early vote action app, please. It's free. That's Scott Pressler's. If you're going to do some door knocking and you don't know how to do it, get with myself. Thousands of doors underneath my belt. Door knocking. So, we'll give you some pointers. Scott Bressler, that was the whole intent of why he came to Erie, was to talk about door knocking and how to take care of it and how to do it and, be respectful. And, if you come to a door, take a step back so people don't feel intimidated, especially if you're a male and there's a female there, make sure you take a couple steps back so that person that's opening the door doesn't feel intimidated. And if you have to hand them some pamphlets or something, say, ma'am, is it okay if I give you this information? Don't be aggressive. I've had this happen to me. Hi, my name is Brian. I'm running for Erie County Council. I have a pamphlet here for some more information, and I appreciate your support in the fall. Democrat or Republican? Republican. Wham! Goes the door. You're going to get that too. and that's fine. And these are people that I don't know them, but they're local Karens, so that's okay. But if you want to do that, Donna Reese is doing a lot of stuff with how to door knock. Like I said, to get that app, get with Kim or I, and we will give you some more tips. We can get together. I know there's some stuff going on at the Republican headquarters on Tuesday nights to help Republicans get elected. And we have to put our petty bullshit aside. We have to stop the neck biting and just focus on what the mission is. It's just like you get an Army and Marine guy. They're not going to agree, but they're going to sit down. They're going to get the mission done. They're going to get out of there. And that's what we need to do, because a party divided, it's easier to fall. And the Democrats see all this squabbling. They love it. They love it. It's just not productive or a team effort when we're doing that crap. And that's why Scott Pressler came here. We started out with a little tiny event. It ended up being a full event, and it was really well done, well orchestrated. Donna and I worked together really well. She gave me some good notes. I'm the guy that likes to talk, believe it or not, and we made the magic happen. So let's put the bullshit down. Let's get to work. Let's get with Scott Pressler. He was going to try to come on the show today, but he just couldn't make it. So we're going to shoot for next Sunday. I will hope to confirm that a couple days sooner. That way I can put an ad up that Scott will come in on a Sunday, but he's traveling and very, very busy. So other than that, Brenda, you want to get your outro video ready? And I will say thank you for all coming. Gwen, I didn't even see you come in. I do apologize. We had a lot of people come in, come out. We got people on X. We got no, you're good, Brenda. Go.
Things were gone. I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it! God bless the USA! From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
everybody. Thanks for coming out on this Sunday afternoon. Yucky day outside. I appreciate you guys spending time with Brenda and I and our extended family. Again, I always say a special thank you to Brenda for everything she does, fixing stuff, editing stuff, putting videos together. She's getting really good at it, and I think she really enjoys it. Again, special thank you to Brenda for everything she does. All our folks that call in, Mayor Longo calling in, Dave, Kim, we'll make sure that we get that audio fixed. We checked it. I don't know what happened, but yada, 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 technology. As we always say, Shank out. And if you know a veteran in need, make sure you give them this number. Kind of important. Good night.